everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Canary Room, episode 15, I checked, of season 7 of the show. A couple of weeks since we've been on your screens, and actually as you're watching this, I will be in Florida at the Florida Canary Fanciers Club show. I will have judged, hopefully, all being well, by the time you're seeing me on your screens, and hopefully, again, all being well, there'll be a video coming up from Florida very soon. So listen, before we start today, I've got a couple of thank yous to do. A couple being 3. So the first one is a thank you to a chap that many of you, certainly in the UK and Ireland, will know. It's a Norwich fancier, a chap, Mike Farrar. He is a lovely guy. The pleasure of spending some time with him when I went to see John Barron last year to do the episode on the Irish Fancy. And see his incredible bird room and the incredible views over the ocean that he's got there. And Mike got in touch with me and said, you know, Matt, it's been a disappointing season for you. I know with the Norwich, can I help you out? I've got a hen for you. I met him. He'd driven the length and breadth of the country, and he delivered on that very kind offer. So, Mike, you are a legend, pal. Thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. It'll give me a real boost for next year. Next thanks is thanks to 2 people actually, and 2 Australians. So thank you, my Australian cousins. First thanks is to Mike, Kath, and Indy. Kath, I hope you had a lovely birthday. Mike, your continued support, your donations to the channel are very much appreciated. Thank you for that. Mike continues to donate each month to the Canary Room. So Mike, thanks, pal. Mike's had a fantastic season with the Fifes. I think his best ever season. So first season he's bred over 70 odd off not many hens. So a lesson to us all there, Mike, and a massive shout out as well to Richie Sarsfield. Richie, I have to say, your donation took me aback. Richie's made a very generous donation to the channel. So, Richie, thank you. And I'm glad you and your daughter are back in birds, and you've had a good season as well with the Reds and the Gloucesters. So well done to you both, and thank you for your support. It is much appreciated. If anybody feels like making a donation to the show, it's not run for profit, this show. It goes to cover some of my expenses going up and down the country, doing bird room visits and the like. There is a PayPal link on there. So thank you everyone who has donated. So coming up today, well, we've got a little on the road. We've got 3 shows actually to take you to on the road. First is a judging engagement at Walsall, which I really enjoyed. Then the North of England, and then the Midlands Fife show, which was the last show for us. I'm going to take you through some of the updates I've done in the room. We'll have a look at some of the birds I'm going to use for next year as well. So yeah, you know what to do. Grab yourself a cuppa. I, again, haven't got one. The only thing I've got in front of me is Ava Gold 11 in 1, which is what's in the drinkers before anyone asks. And whilst it smells quite nice, I'm not going to drink that. But you grab yourself a cuppa, sit back, and as always, everyone, enjoy the show. It's been a great show season. It has been a fantastic show season. Debut season of the Spencer and L partnership. Challenge with the show season, of course, is it's full on. So I have probably over the last 6 weeks, well, 8 weeks throughout all of October, all of November, been to judging in New York, which was fabulous, judging in Ireland, judging in Cleveland, judging in Scotland, judging in the Midlands. I've got 2 more judging engagements to come. Shown up in Scotland, at the north of England, in the Midlands, at North Wales, and at southern England as well. So I don't want to count the number of miles I've put in, but the challenge has always been, it's time away from the family at the weekend. So last weekend, I had no shows. and so I was home all weekend, which was lovely. So the Christmas decorations are up. I'd like to say I sat down and relaxed, but you know me, that would be a lie. There was no relaxation going on. What I did decide to do on the Friday, I gave myself the Friday off work, which as I work for myself, was an interesting conversation. But I gave myself the Friday off work, and I thought, right, post-show season, what I want to do before I go to Florida to make it a little bit easier for my family to look after the birds while I'm away, was I was going to deep clean the block behind me. Now there's 36 cages in this block. They are 16-inch fronts. Cages are about 12 inches high and 12 inches front to back. They're heavy. They've all got drawers in. I took them all out. I put them in the garden. I insulated, as you can see from the shot here, I insulated the roof where I hadn't been able to get insulation in because I'd used 50mm foam everywhere else, but I couldn't get it in there. So I've got a sort of metallic sheet insulation, which is at the front, the back, and on both sides now. So job done on that. Cleaning cages isn't fun, anyone. I'm not going to try and pretend it is. Looking at clean cages, however, is wonderful. So all of these cages here are empty and will remain so until we move into January. So at this moment in time, I've got the cockbirds on, as I come into the canary room, on the right-hand wall. This cage behind me is on the left-hand wall. This will stay empty. And then what I will do just after Christmas is I will put together, in double breed, as you can see, I've got 6 made up, 1 cockbird and 3 hens. Now, I've already got that set up on the other side of the room, and you can see that in here. There is a dark buff cock with 3 yellow hens, and there is a blue cock which is a carrier of cinnamon, with 3 cinnamon hens. There's also a yellow head in there, but that's going to be moved away. So that is the sort of setup and the rationale behind that. So at the moment, the cocks are all on their own, apart from those 2 cocks in there. And the rationale behind that is that what I want to do, particularly where I'm running a cockbird with multiple hens, and I've got 8 cockbirds for next year that I'll be running with 3 hens, and then I've got another 10 cockbirds that I'll be running as straight pairs. Okay, so 18 cockbirds in the room selected for next year, and however many hens that is, it's a lot, probably more than I've ever had. The rationale behind that is just to give the birds that are running with multiple hens, particularly is because there's a couple of white ground birds in there, just to get them used to them. Not too worried about them forming bonds with one. I want them to really bond with others. And then what I'll do at the end of probably January is I'll put the cocks back into single cages. So a little bit of absence makes the heart grow fonder, but they'll be together for 31 days. All right, so they can work out how they feel about each other in those 31 days. The birds now are sort of in winter conditioning. I've got the winter lights on. I'm not going to adjust the lights before I go back to Florida. I'll start adjusting them when I come back from Florida. So currently they're on 9 hours, and I'll start to gradually build them up. By the beginning of January, I'll probably hit 10 hours. By the end of February, they'll be on 12 and a half, 13 and a half, somewhere around that period. And I'm looked to sort of start pairing up during March. Okay, so that's the plan when it comes to the sort of the conditioning, and the birds will start to take some conditioning. This time of year is really a year for reflection and, how do I take the stud forward? And the sort of rationale behind that, any regular viewers to the show will know that next year I will be sort of concentrating on the clear, variegated ticked birds predominantly in the partnership. However, I still do have some greens, produced some nice greens this year that have done well for us on the show bench. And the partnership really for me has been, Gerald has bred some incredible birds, and they've done exceptionally well, but also Gerald has helped get some of my team ready for the show bench, and I think that's, the results have been testament to the work that he's done for that. So it really is sort of kicking on. But the key now is about what do I want to keep for next year, and that process starts with a sort of, where do I want the stud to go? How many cages have I got? What conceivably can I fit in the room comfortably? And then it starts with the records books, and I've got a shot. I posted this on Facebook. I've got a shot really of me sort of interrogating the records books, and there's birds in this shed I can trace back longer than 2016, but I've gone to sort of great grandfather and grandmother on the birds, so I've got a real good idea. This is something I'm really quite excited about next year. For the variegated line, I'm going to show you 4 birds now, and what we've got, the first shot is 2 variegated yellowcocks. In the foreground is the father, so he's the sort of anchor bird, and behind him is his son. And I have 2 daughters off him as well that I bought him from Gerald's this year. And then there's a clear bird. Well, he's actually lightly variegated, but he'll look clear on camera. Clear buffcock, who is singing lustfully away, and he is a son of the variegated yellowcock, but with a different hen, which is also in the room, to the other variegated yellowcock. And then there's a variegated buffcock here, which is the grandson of that variegated yellowcock, and he's out of a variegated buff hen, which I've also got in the room. So I mentioned on Facebook, more birds have changed hands, I think, than any time I can probably remember. And I will say on camera, for the record, I've really benefited from that this year, and I'd like to think Gerald has benefited, but probably not to the same extent I have. So the birds are sort of singled off, and it's a gradual conditioning. You'll see here I'm actually giving half satsumas to the birds. There's a couple of cinnamons and fawns here just enjoying a half satsuma. The hens, the vast majority of the hens, are in the big flight cage just at the back of the room. They've got some Savoy cabbage that they're enjoying, as well as satsumas. They've got plenty of flights. They've got baths on. I think it's an 8-foot flight cage. They've got plenty of room to fly, plenty of room to go around. Not too much bickering going on, which is good. There will, of course, be a pecking order, but not too much bickering. The challenge with keeping lots of birds together is it's very difficult to see if any of them are poorly, because they'll hide it until it's too late. So mindful of that, but they're benefiting from the exercise. So that's the kind of sort of setup. There's a couple more cockbirds here, a couple of allied to white cockbirds. I will still keep some allied to white birds in here as well, so, and some cinnamons. So we've both got, in both rooms, we've both got a spread of the colours, which I think is important. If there was a disaster in one room, we can recover from another, and I think that's really important to do. So listen, shall we take a trip on the road now? Well, first up on the road was a trip to Walsall CBS, where I had the pleasure of judging with a good mate of mine, Adam Kendall. So Adam and I judged the Fife section. Really good show. Over nearly 1,200 birds, I think, entered across all the varieties. Really nice to see. Really strong British section. The Norwich Club show was there as well. So, a real, as a bird keeper, it's great to see so many different varieties in one room. I really enjoyed it when I went up to the Scottish National Bird Exhibition as well. So, it's really nice. It's nice to look at all the native finches. It's nice to look at all the other varieties of canaries as well, and even the budgies, although I don't think there were that many there. But the soft bills, there was a load. So really enjoyed that. Massive congratulations to Norman Hughes again. Norm followed up his best in show at North Wales with another best in show with the same bird, a variegated yellowcock, which was an outstanding bird. So delighted for Norm. And then that weekend was full on. So I took a trip from there up to see Bernard Williams to drop a bird off for Bern and Chris. Always great to see Bern. Spent 10-15 minutes in Bern's company. Never enough. Hours is never enough in Bern's company, but we're going to go back. We're going to go back and film with Bern again, everyone. It's one of the most watched episodes on the channel, so I look forward to going back and seeing Bern and Sue and Bernard's amazing aviaries, and let's see what he's got this time in them, shall we? So that's something to look forward to in 2025. And then it was up to the north of England, up at Gilberdyke, and don't really know what to say about this. We had a great weekend. We had a great night out in Howden on the Saturday night. One too many baby Guinnesses for me, I have to say. And then we headed over to the show hall. Yeah, wow. North of England, to anyone who keeps Fife in the UK, will, they'll always be aware that the sort of north of England, although it's not necessarily the biggest show in terms of numbers, although I think it had 972 entered. It's certainly, with its history, it's certainly the sort of the big show. We got in, judging done by 12:30, I think, which was fabulous. So we got time to get in to see the birds. And absolutely delighted that our heavily variegated yellow hen, that was best champion and runner-up best Fife in Scotland, went one better. So she was best in show, best champion Fife, best heavily variegated. And you can see behind me a sort of small selection, and it is just a small selection of the major specials that we've won over the season. And there is hers there, right in the middle, which I'm delighted with. In fact, I think pretty much a number of the ones on that top row she's won across the season, which is great. It was an absolute pleasure to be presented with the top award by Terry Kelly. Terry, as most of you will know, is a legend in this hobby. And for us to win the North of England in our first season as a partnership was beyond all expectations. Specials were well split. Jerry Northern, incredible bird up there, very unlucky to sort of not get best in, and on another day would have done. But it was our day. I'm delighted about that. So we put another 5 class winners onto the total. And then the next weekend we went down to the Midlands, and we put a really big team out at the Midlands. I think one of the challenges we've had as a partnership this year is that some of the birds still haven't been quite ready. But we managed to get a big strong team out at the Midland, and again we had another really good show. Massive congratulations to David Haynes, with a lovely bird, a lovely variegated bird that won the show. Again we had a good show. We had 5 class winners there, and again we had 2 on the top table. So at the North of England we won best green, best heavily variegated, and obviously best champion and best in show. And at the Midland we won best heavily variegated and best green, but with 2 different birds from the previous week, and that's been a real tale of the season. So I think I counted them up. We've had 36 class wins across the season. I think we've won every colour special at least once. I think we've won heavily variegated 3 times, green twice, clear twice. We've won the lightly variegated, the cinnamon, the allied to white, and the variegated special. So yeah, it's been a fantastic season for us, which is really, really good. So as I say, well done to everyone who has benched birds across the season. Well done to everyone who has made the effort, and well done to all of the organisers, because it's a hell of a lot of organisation goes into putting these shows on. Well done to all the people in the background who do the admin. Special shout out to Barry Maguire, to Mick Goran Jr., and then to Linda Swain. The 3 of them, and there will be other people as well, Kane and Luke in North Wales. And I'm sorry, Ryan up in Scotland. If I've missed anyone out, I'm really sorry, but there are people who do an awful lot behind the scenes for this hobby, and they make it. Without them, there wouldn't be a hobby. So from me to you, thank you, everyone. Thank you. So onwards and upwards. Let's see how we get on. So that pretty much covers off the Fifes for this episode. See all the cages on the right hand side of me now. Left hand side as you come into the shed, I'll get sorted at some stage, I promise you. All sparkly clean, ready to be dirtied up again. I think that's always the thing, isn't it? When you clean cages, you think, I've got to put birds back in them and they'll be filthy again. I have got a dehumidifier in the room at the moment. I've bought a new one. It's only a small one. I'm not sure it's quite fit for purpose, to be fair, but it is taking moisture out of the room, which is great. You know, what you don't want is cold and damp conditions in your room. It's important for the health of the birds. You can hear they're in good health. Hopefully you can hear they're in good health. As I mentioned earlier, the 5 hens are in here. I've got a bully hen in here. And then I finally got all of my DNAs back. I DNA'd 13 red poles. Shall we have a look at the red pole diaries now? So listen, as you know, my trials and tribulations with red poles has, it's been well documented on this show. They're a beautiful bird. I love them dearly. They will remain in the room for 2025. But, and there is a but, the but is I finally got my DNAs back, and my DNAs, there were 13 red poles. I had 14 overall that I'd bred in the season. One was an Isabel. I knew it was a hen because of the way it was bred. So I DNA'd the rest. What do you think the DNA results came back like, everyone? Now, as breeders, you know, we always want a higher ratio of hens than cockbirds. Well, if I tell you, everyone, from 13 DNA results, I've DNA'd 10 cockbirds and 3 hens. 3 hens. 2 pied and a split pied. And that's really sort of put me in a bit of a predicament, to be fair, because, you know, there obviously were and are some surplus red poles to go, but they're not pairs. So I've retained, you'll see as a shot here of some of the cockbirds. I've got 4 pied cockbirds for next year. I've got 3 pied hens and a split silver pied hen, silver split pied hen. I've got an Isabel hen, and a cobalt hen and a normal hen, and then I've got a cobalt cock, Isabel cock and a normal cock. So there's actually 7 pairs of red poles in the plans for next year. Bullies, I think, will probably go in the flight in between the canary room and the garage. Looking to see if I can get a bully cock in. Very good friends of mine have said that they might have one for me, so we'll keep everything crossed for that. And then the Norwich, they're all together at the moment, just in the bottom cage, in the flight cage, just sort of pecking around and enjoying themselves. So listen, everyone, that's all we've got time for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We are edging ever closer to 20,000 subscribers to the channel, which is mind-blowing for me. I have been I've been overwhelmed by the outpouring of, I'm going to call it love, the outpouring of love for our little show. And I know a lot of people have said, oh, you know, carry on, and I am going to carry on, just not to the same frequency, okay? So I will still put content out. I think I mentioned in the last episode some of the plans, but I am eternally grateful for all of your support. I love reading your comments. I try and reply to all of them, or certainly as many as I can. And I absolutely love it. It's truly, truly humbling. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, subscribing to me on YouTube is free. All you need is a Google account, a Gmail account, which is also free. And subscribing helps me. It doesn't help me in a monetary way, but it helps give my channel an authority, which means it gets recommended to more people, so we're able to spread the word about this fantastic hobby to more and more people. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. There'll be a couple more episodes before Christmas, everyone. Until next time, take care.